What kind of society tells a son to carry his own mother into the mountains and leave her to die? Well, most people would never do that, but in today's story, that's what happens. So this one is called The Aged Mother, and it's by Matsu Basho, and it's an old Japanese folktale that really doesn't have a it doesn't it's probably one of the quietest, heartbreaking stories that's been ever told. And it's more about like aging, sacrifice, survival, and the quiet wisdom people stop valuing once it comes wrapped in wrinkles and gray hair. So the crazy thing about this story is that there really is no villain, but honestly the pangs and it trust me, it's gonna hit home. So with that being said, let's get into the story right now. Long, long ago, there lived at the foot of the mountain a poor farmer and his aged mother, widowed mother. They owned a bit of land which supplied them with food, and they were humble, peaceful, and happy. Shining was governed by a despotic leader who though a warrior, had a great and cowardly shrinking from anything or suggestive of failing health and strength. This caused him to send out a cruel proclamation. The entire province was given strict orders to immediately put to death all aged people. That's kind of rough. I mean, just think about that. If or just an order like, yo, everybody that's over 75, done. Those were barbarous days, and the custom of abandoning old people to die was not uncommon. The poor farmer loved his aged mother with tender reverence, and the order filled his heart with sorrow. But no one ever thought twice about obeying the mandate of the governor. So, with many deep and hopeless sighs, the youth prepared for what at that time was considered the kindest mode of death. Now, honestly, for me, that would be one of the hardest things to do. Like, as I was sitting here thinking, what would be the kindest way to just off somebody? And to me, it's like surprise, straight up surprise, quick, fast, in a hurry. I'm gonna be a little dark, but I mean, for me, bullet back to the head, quick, fast, and in a hurry, done. Now, afterwards, that's gonna be the hard part. You know what I mean? But I mean, I couldn't imagine just think about it, like groups, towns, villages, an entire just everybody that's young. It's just like, yo, what are we gonna do? But it's wicked. It's wicked though. Just at sundown, when his day's work was ended, he took a quantity of unwhitened rice, which was the principal food for the poor, and he cooked, dried it, and tied it in a square cloth, which he swung in a bundle around his neck, along with a gourd filled with cool, sweet water. Then he lifted his helpless old mother to his back and started on his painful journey up the mountain. The road was long and steep. The narrow road was crossed and recrossed by many paths made by the hunters and woodcutters. In some place they lost and they lost and confused, but he gave no heed. One path or another, it mattered not. On he went, climbing upwardly, blindly. Ever upwards, towards the high, bare summit of what is known as Abatsuyama, the mountain of the abandoning age. So think about this, yeah? It's almost like, honestly, it would be like modern day. Um I don't know if anybody has seen, but it's almost like to the train station at Dutton Ranch. The only thing is on Yellowstone, nobody really knew when they say, yo, take them to the train station. You didn't really know it. You know what I'm saying? And then here it is. It's like there's a place, people would on Yellowstone, they would just drive them out, shoot them, whatever, toss their body over in the middle. Here, These people are like, oh wait, think about it. It's a mountain. You're going up it, and you're like, and literally you got your mom. Like, she doesn't know what's gonna happen, but you just got to try to play it off. Like, nah, I can't do that. That's a little wicked for me. The eyes of the old mother were not so dim, but that they noted the reckless hastening from one path to another, and her loving heart grew anxious. Her son did not know the mountain's many paths, and his return might be one of danger. So she stretched forth her hand, and snapping the twigs from brushes as they passed, she quietly dropped a handful every few steps of the way, so that as they climbed, the narrow path behind them was dotted at frequent interval with tiny piles of twigs. Think about that one. Just think about that. That's a mother's love right there. At last, the summit was reached. Weary and heartsick, the youth gently released his burden and silently prepared a place of comfort as his last duty to the loved one. Gathering fallen pine needles, he made a soft cushion and tenderly lifted his old mother, onto it. He wrapped her padded coat more closely about the stooping shoulders, and with tearful eyes and an aching heart, he said farewell. The trembling mother's voice was full of unselfish love as she gave her last injection. Let not thine eyes be blinded, my son, she said. The mountain road is full of dangers. Look carefully and follow the path which holds the piles of twigs. They will guide you to the familiar path farther down. The son's surprised eyes looked back over the path, then at the poor old, shriveled hands all stretched and soiled by their work of love. His heart broke within, and bowing to the ground, he cried aloud, O honorable mother, your kindness breaks my heart. I will not leave you. Together, we will follow the path of twigs, and together we will die. I ain't gonna lie. That's how I'm going out. Tell me to kill Mom Dukes, I'm gonna bury you where you stand. Once more he shouldered his burden. How light it seemed now, and hastened down the path, through the shadows and the moonlight, to the light hut in the valley. Beneath, the kitchen floor was a walled closet for food, which was covered and hidden from view. There the son hid his mother, supplying her with everything she needed, continually watching and fearing she would be discovered. Time passed, and he was beginning to feel safe, when again the governor set forth heralds bearing an unreasonable order, seemingly as a boast of his power. His demand was that his subjects should present him with a rope of ashes. The entire province trembled with dread. The order must be obeyed, yet who, in all shining, could make a rope of ashes? One night, in great distress, the son whispered the news to his hidden mother. Wait, she said. I will think. I will think. On the second day, she told him what to do. Make a rope of twisted straw, she said. Then stretch it upon a row of flat stones and burn it in a windless night. He called the people together and did as she said. And when the blaze died down, there upon the stone, with every twist and fiber showing perfectly, lay a rope of ashes. The governor was pleased at the wit of the youth and praised greatly, but he demanded to know where he had obtained his wisdom. Alas, alas, cried the farmer, the truth must be told. And with deep bows, he related his story. The governor listened and then meditated in silence. Finally, he lifted his head. Shining needs more than strength of youth, he said gravely. Ah, that I should have forgotten the well-known saying. With the crown of snow there cometh wisdom. That very hour the cruel law was abolished, and custom drifted into as far a past that only legends remain. So as you can see, you know, I mean, I'm sure that most people understand that today we do the same thing. Um, I would say more so in a lot of, I would say, Eastern countries, especially like, for example, when I lived over in China, I saw people that were like 97 years old, 98 years old, living with, grandparents or whatever. It was rare that you heard of somebody going to a home, unless like maybe just, a lot of like maybe hardcore Alzheimer's or something like that. But most people, they died, in their homes. But here in here in the United States and more Western countries, I mean, I can't tell you how many times like people are like, "Yo, put him in a home, put him in a home," um, and that happens. I mean, it's just the way that society. I think society today, we, especially in Western countries, in my opinion, we put so much into strength and speed and power and all that, but we forget that you know all that can only take you so far. But like wisdom, that's what like guides the world today. And that's what will always guide the world. So I just think that this is like an amazing story that really displays like how much like Eastern culture, especially Japan, like they really do look into that wisdom. And I think that the rest of the world, honestly, we'd be a little bit better off. We listen to some older folks. Not all, as you can tell, not all. Some of them are nuts and going off the rails, but wisdom is wisdom and it's undeniable. So, um, but it's just one of those things. But I definitely have to say that this story just it really reminds me of like how useful and worth they're not the same thing. You know what I mean? And although for me, a person doesn't lose their value because of their age. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just the quietest voices in a family are carrying the deepest wisdom. And it's just something that we have to remember. That's it. So, and and for now, next time we're going to be stepping into the story of Susanna, and this is a story about accusation, reputation, false judgment, and the terrifying power of public shame once people decide they want to believe a lie. So we're pretty much going from wisdom to just flat out lies. That's pretty much it. But hope you enjoyed this story, and until next time, take care.